Hi, welcome back to Chromaccounting. I'm Mark Bracken-Wilson. In this video, I want to cover Chromaccounting system for students. Now, students can use this system even if the teachers aren't using Chromaccounting, simply by changing the color of cells if you're using Excel, which is what our students do. Or if you've got a paper-based system, then you can just use these 5 highlighters down the bottom to highlight all of the general ledger accounts into the appropriate accounting elements. So, what we have for our students is Excel based. We've got in row 3 here the accounting equation, which is assets plus expenses equals liabilities plus owner's equity plus revenue. So we've got all of the assets here. We've got 5 assets. We've got cash at bank, accounts receivable, inventory, equipment, and vehicles. We've got 4 expenses. We've got 2 liabilities, and owner's equity and sales, just to start off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to change the color because I know that assets are orange. So I'm just going to change the color of all of those cells to orange. I'm going to change all of these expenses to blue. So highlight everything, right click, choose the paint bucket and change it to blue. My liabilities, right click, paint bucket, red. Owner's equity, the light bulb moment, right click, yellow, and revenue, right click. Cash that we've received, cash is green. Okay, so that's going to help me when I get to posting all of my general ledger balances into my financial statements, which we're going to do shortly. So in our system, we've got 11 transactions that we've got. Let's make that a little lighter. And we can see that the first transaction here is that the owner has introduced $30,000 into the business, and that money's gone into the cash at bank. So our assets has gone up by $30,000, which is on the left-hand side of the equation, and our owner's equity has gone up by $30,000, which is the right-hand side. So we balance. The next one down is that we've taken a bank loan for $20,000, and that money's gone into our bank account. So again, both sides of the accounting equation match. And we keep on going. So in this case, we bought $15,000 worth of equipment, paid $5,000 cash, so that's a negative to our bank account, and $10,000 as a liability. So 15 minus 5 is 10 on the debit side and 10 on the credit side. And as we're learning, we'll go through all of these different types of transactions that we have: buying equipment for cash, buying, getting a phone bill, paying wages, and all of those transactions will eventually come to, a total. So the total of cash at bank is $47,800. That's all of these transactions combined. Some money coming in, some money coming out, depending on whether it's a positive or a negative number. Now, I quite like these numbers being down the bottom. They're my total. I can see my assets and expenses equals $74,800 in total. And the same for my liabilities, owner's equity and revenue equals $74,800. So I know that my entries in here are at least, I balance. Okay. Now, I quite like this idea of having the colors up here. So I'm going to click on that row 6, right click, choose the format painter and paint it over the top of 20. So now all of my totals are in the appropriate color for assets, expenses, and so on. What we then get our students to do is to take these numbers in row 20 for each of these general ledger accounts and put them into a trial balance, which we've got over here on the financial statements here. We can see that all of my debits equals $74,800 and all of my credits equals $74,800. So I can see that I balance. So what we do then is we take the trial balance and we would post each of these general ledger accounts into the appropriate financial statement, whether it's profit and loss or into our balance sheet. To start with, using Chromaccounting, what I'm going to do is take my trial balance and I'm going to color in all of the assets. And I know that they're these 5 because I've just been dealing with them on the previous page. The next 4 are all expenses. So I'm going to color them in blue. Next two are liabilities. These amounts of money that I owe to outside parties. Colour them red. Capital introduced is yellow. And sales, money coming into us, is green. Okay. What I can do now, because we've done all of the other videos in Chromaccounting, we know that all of our assets, from assets down to total, is orange. So I know that these 5 accounts here are going to go somewhere within my assets side of my balance sheet. I know that my liabilities are all red. So I know that the red items from my trial balance, accounts payable and bank loan, are going to go somewhere within my liabilities section of my balance sheet. The next one is owner's equity, and that's all of my yellow. Okay, and I know the total down here is the total of my liabilities plus equity, or red plus yellow. Red plus yellow is orange. So this total here of my liabilities and owner's equity will equal my total for my assets. Okay, so now I've only got the profit and loss account to do. I know that revenue is green. So I'm going to highlight these first 2 cells green. And then I've got expenses down here, which are going to be in blue. In row 9 here, we've got gross profit. And gross profit is our revenue minus our purchases. So I'll just put this into the system. So that's my sales. My sales equals 4,000. And my purchases, here, 800. So this is the only expense that goes above our gross profit. The reason for this is I want to know how much money I've made from buying the product that I've sold, $800, to selling that product for $4,000. So I've made a gross profit here of $3,200. That $3,200 is enough to pay all of my expenses. So my expenses here, I'm just going to transfer them over from here. Phone, power, wages, and amounts in this column are $300, $500, and $1,200. Now there are easier ways to do this, but it helps us just to get into the habit of using these formulas so that I'm not typing in any numbers that are wrong. Profit and loss statement gives me my profit, which is down here, which is my revenue, minus all of my expenses, my purchases, phone, power, and wages. So revenue minus expenses gives me my net profit. The colour green minus the colour blue gives me the colour yellow. Okay, so yellow belongs to the owner. So over here, I'm going to put my net profit or loss of $1,200. I get my other owner's equity from over here on my balance sheet. Just going to equal capital introduced, 40,000. So all I need to do now, slowly ticking off all of my trial balance, but I can see that I've got all of my orange and all of my red still to be done. So my current assets are all the assets which are cash or will be cash within the next 12 months. So hopefully I'll sell my inventory within the next 12 months. Okay, and there, and there. Okay, my current, my long-term or non-current assets are my plant and equipment and my motor vehicles. 9,000 and 10,000. You see how it's nice and easy for me to identify what goes into my assets just because I've taken time out in my trial balance to go down each of these items and to color code them. Once I know what color code they are, I know whereabouts in my financial statements they go. So my current liabilities are my accounts payable, and that is $800. And my non-current, the amount of money that I have to pay back later than a year, my bank loan, 30,000. We can see now that we've put everything from my trial balance into our financial statements, and my balance sheet balances with 72,000. Okay, so that's how you can use Chromaccounting to help you. It would be the same if you were doing manual on paper-based trial balance into profit and loss and balance sheet. It's just matching the colours up, knowing what colours go where in our financials, and knowing which of my general ledger accounts belong in each colour. Okay, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.